November 18th is Minecraft's 10-year anniversary, and in that time, so many items Mojang thought should come to the game have been entirely scrapped, never to be seen again. That includes mobs, secret items, biomes, and a lot more. So let's kick it off with one thing every player would want, and that is the red dragon. Alright, you gotta admit, one of the most iconic mobs in Minecraft is the Ender Dragon, and to this day, you can't ignore just how popular he was when he first released. But it turns out there was a chance that the Ender Dragon would have never made it into Minecraft, and that's because Notch was working on a completely different boss instead. It turns out we could have had the Red Dragon, and it was gonna do way more than its Ender brother. This Red Dragon was gonna have a ton of features like limb detection, so that every single part of the dragon could interact with the world. But when Notch left Mojang, it looks like this Red Dragon idea was cancelled completely. Jeb has since said that if he were to ever add it to the game, the best way to do it would probably be through a dragon egg, but honestly, none of us are holding our breaths. This one is probably shelved for good, but it's not as interesting as giants. Probably the most famous example of a scrap Minecraft update has to be the canceled giant mobs that were in the works over a decade ago. I mean, it has been almost 10 years. In the same update that added difficulties to Minecraft, and yes, we're talking old updates here, there was a mysterious mob that appeared in the game. It puzzled a lot of people, and others just didn't find it at all. It was really secret. Of course, I'm talking about the giants, and they aren't just the most mysterious mobs you've ever seen, they're also some of the most powerful. I mean, looking at these guys, you wouldn't expect them to do much harm, but if one of these giants stood on you, well, they would instantly kill you. No warning, you're a goner. They also have like 50 hearts, so good luck trying to take one out with a bow. And so over the years, though, Mojang tweaked these guys again and again, until eventually giving up on it completely. If you try to spawn in a giant today, you'll be able to, but their AI is completely gone. I mean, they're just a useless statue now. It's like someone sucked the life out of them. It's kinda creepy, but even these guys aren't as mysterious as the unreleased Sky Dimension. So Minecraft has had the Nether for over a decade now, but it wasn't supposed to be one of the only dimensions in the game. Right now, we obviously have the Overworld, the Nether, and the End, but there's originally going to be a different dimension all the way back in 2011. Notch tweeted some pictures of an upcoming Sky Dimension that he was working on, and it looked like a huge floating overworld that seemed to represent heaven or something, you know, like how the Nether is hell? And then when news articles came out about these images, Notch then tweeted, "And because PC Gamer made such a big deal of the Sky Dimension, I guess I'll have to finish it. Consider it confirmed." And so looking back, well, it didn't exactly age well. So what happened with it? Well, it was originally planned to release in the Adventure update, but it was delayed so they could work on the Nether instead. Eventually, they reworked the original plans for the Sky Dimension into the End. Yeah, it turns out the End was created from all of this. So will we see the Sky Dimension ever come to the game? Probably not, according to Jeb. But something even more disappointing was when Mojang scrapped the super duper graphics pack. E3 2017, Microsoft surprised all of us when they dropped a bombshell announcing the super duper graphics pack. It was gonna bring a completely new look to Minecraft with new lighting, shaders, and so much more. I mean, people went crazy for this one, but unfortunately, we didn't hear anything else since 2017. And that's when 2 entire years later, Mojang revealed that they were actually going to straight up cancel the pack because it was way too technically difficult to add to Minecraft. I mean, maybe you should have realized that before they announced it. But jokes aside though, this was pretty disappointing for a lot of people, especially console and Bedrock Edition players. Something you could actually use to this day though are the zombie horses. Yeah, zombie horses are one of the only things on this list that you could actually still spawn into Minecraft to this day. They were originally added in 1.6.1 and Mojang kept adding more and more features all the way until 1.10 when they added a zombie horse spawn egg in one of the snapshots. You can still spawn these guys in the game now with the egg or a command, but they can't spawn naturally and they're just like, there's no use to them because you literally can't find them in survival. I mean, what a weird mob. What's even more bizarre is the gear block and unbrewable potions. Yeah, back in 2010 during the in-dev phase of Minecraft, Notch added gears into the game. It was a block that you could place on walls and was even animated, but that was about it. I mean, these things did absolutely nothing when you used them, so they were probably the original design for redstone dust. But if we're speaking of early designs, then there are a few unbrewable potions that existed in Minecraft that you could use but were never obtainable. They were just way better versions of regeneration, swiftness, strength, and poison. But they had nothing on the unreleased potions. I mean, there were 30 of these things in the game that were completely useless, had no effect, and were clearly scrapped items. And obviously, I'm not going to read all these out on screen right now, but it makes you wonder what could have been. Still, not as mysterious as the infamous Farlands. Okay, so we're sticking with in-dev because during this phase, I mean, sure, there were things like the gear block, but there also used to be really strange glitches that would completely break the game and end up rendering some really weird stuff. And one of the most iconic glitches of this time was something called the Farlands. It was a terrain bug that was so broken that would auto-generate textures and make some really weird-looking things. But you could write creepypastas about this thing. It was chilling. There were even monoliths that would spawn around the world and they would just be huge hollow towers. Probably the weirdest thing that has ever happened in Minecraft. But for more scrapped updates, we have to talk about why these skeletons skeleton features never came to the game. Okay, if I asked you to tell me what skeletons do in Minecraft, everyone would say that they shoot you with a bow. I mean, come on, it's literally their thing. But what if I told you that skeletons actually have bigger plans? Yeah, Mojang were originally going to give skeletons multiple variants, so some would wield bows and others would have swords and actually be able to attack you. And speaking of bows, in 2009 during Classic 0.24, skeletons actually shot purple arrows. They acted the same as regular arrows, but you couldn't pick them up. And eventually in Java Edition 1.9, the purple arrow texture was abandoned and they will never be coming to the game. And neither will brick pyramids. Shortly after the in-dev period ended, we got InfDev, and a scrapped update that was actually intended in this version of the game was the brick pyramids. These were gonna be randomly generated places which were just huge pyramids made of entirely brick. I mean, they were gigantic. Now, they didn't really have a purpose and were gone from the game after InfDev, but you know, can't help but wonder what they were used for. Still not as weird though as the green axolotl. While brick pyramids are mysterious, it wasn't as odd as the mystery of the green axolotl. Now, when axolotls were announced during Minecraft Live 2020, they showed off a version of them that was green. But when the snapshot that added axolotls was released, a ton of people noticed that this green guy was never actually added. Now, they reported it as a bug and never heard back. Everyone assumed it was cut from the game, and that was it. But then the official trailer for Caves and Cliffs Part 1 dropped, and there it was again, the green axolotl. This drove people crazy, so they asked Lady Agnes, and she said this.
What happened to the green axolotl? It's the only one not in the game, but was shown in Minecon.
Yes, I'm not sure I can answer that right now, I'm sorry.
I mean, why are they so mysterious about it? What kind of blackmail does the green axolotl have on Mojang? We gotta get to the bottom of this, and hopefully one day we will, but for now I guess I'll have to show you the canceled killer bunny. The killer bunny was a really rare type of rabbit that had an insanely low chance of spawning. It looked like a regular rabbit mob from afar, but as you got closer, you'd notice it had bright red eyes and would be super hostile. In fact, it took out 8 hearts in a single hit. It was a great and exciting Easter egg that made you look out for any rabbit in the wild, but eventually Mojang removed the killer bunny for reasons. I mean, we have no idea why. This thing was amazing. I mean, some think that the bunny was taken out because it would scare kids, but others think that it was because of the texture kept changing as the updates went by. So I guess we'll never know what happened, but if you want to find the bunny to this day, you can summon it using a command. And yet this isn't even the weirdest unused mob. I know, it goes so much deeper, so we have to talk about the Illusioner. During a snapshot in Java 1.12, Mojang added a new type of villager to be called Illusioners. They don't spawn anywhere, so you have to spawn them through summon commands or data packs. But they basically cast spells and have a bow, and they're the only mob who could cast the blindness effect. And their other spell is actually to turn completely invisible and spawn 4 clones of itself. It is really trippy, but the Illusioner isn't even the coolest unreleased mob. Like I said, it goes deeper, and that award goes to the Gray Tabby Cat. I mean, a Sky Dimension is cool, and a Red Dragon is even better, but they have nothing on this Gray Tabby Cat. I mean, probably not as exciting, but at least you could go tell your friends that Minecraft were gonna add a Gray Tabby Cat into the game. I mean, now that I think about it, probably don't do that. Instead, you should tell them about the quiver. Probably one of the most OG scrapped items in Minecraft history was an item called the quiver. It was first found on the item sheet in the in-dev version of the game, but it never had a crafting recipe, and you couldn't even craft the thing without help from mods. It was supposed to be an item that would let you stack tons of arrows without using much inventory space. I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory, but for some reason, nothing ever came out of this thing. Now, what's interesting is that Jeb himself said that the quiver might come in Minecraft 1.9, but when 1.9 actually came out, the opposite happened. Instead, this update actually removed the quiver's texture from the files, and plans to release it were scrapped forever. That's everything for our Cancel Minecraft Updates video. Thanks so much for watching. It's been Tommy, and keep it here on T5G.